Dead bodies lay in the clearing. One surviving guy did not understand how this could happen. Everything around was filled with yellow dust. A dark silhouette appeared in front of the guy with a bloody blade in his hand. The guy desperately asked to spare him. Suddenly, a tentacle headed towards him and grabbed his leg, pulling the victim into the bushes. He desperately screamed and grabbed the ground with his nails to somehow save himself. The next morning, social workers found the guy's dead body, or rather, half of his body. Suddenly, yellow dust began to appear from the depths of the forest. Noticing this, the girl took a shard of a blade from her inside pocket. Putting the blade into the wound, it began to grow. Seeing the monster, she went to him. A whole blade grew out of her hand, and on her back was written, Ministry of the Environment Special Yellow Dust Task Force. In the meantime, he just lived his normal life. Sitting on the toilet, the main character was very nervous. His heart was ready to jump out of his chest, and his hands did not stop shaking. Having washed himself with cold water, he tried to calm down a little, but still nothing worked. Having decided to drink a sedative again, he looked out the window at the sparrow that flew in and sat on a branch. Their eyes met.
What you looking at, you punk?
The guy realized that he was in complete ass. His name is Han Maru, 29 years old, a very ordinary young man living in South Korea. He graduated from a simple university and tried his best to find a job. He was getting a job as a 9th-rank civil servant for the 5th time, having failed all previous attempts. This time, he had to pass. With this attitude, he went to the interview office. Looking. Nerves. The interviewer looked at Han Maru carefully. Why did you decide to join the civil service? The guy swallowed and smiled tensely. I want to contribute to society as a civil servant. But a completely different thought flashed through his head. A stable job, a regular salary, and a life without changes. What will you do if your boss gives you an unethical assignment? Of course, I will try to discuss the problem and find a compromise. In his mind, he calmly added, ignore, obviously. And how are you with building interpersonal relationships? Sometimes it's hard. There were even rumors at the university that I have ADHD. Hanmaru confused what he thought with what he wanted to say. The interviewer raised his eyebrows. Awkward silence. The interviewer made a note on the form. What was the most difficult moment in your life? And how did you overcome it? Hanmaru thought. In difficult moments, frames floated before his eyes. Mountains, fog. He had seen something that day. The image of some kind of monster, and then lifeless bodies around little Hanmaru. His heart began to pound wildly. The room swam before his eyes. Hey, are you okay? A worried voice. The interviewer's face was in front of him. What? And the next second he threw up right in the man's face. Evening. Hanmaru was lying on his bed. What an idiot I am. No job, no friends, no girlfriend. I'm a walking failure. Tears of despair sparkled in his eyes. Suddenly, someone knocked on the door. Who's there? He opened the door and screamed like a girl. In front of him stood a female version of The Rock. Why aren't you picking up the phone? After a moment of stupor, Hanmaru stepped aside and let his mother in. Are you not at work? I came to bring food. She handed him a bag. The guy took it with hope. Please, let it have meat, kimchi, and stewed beans, the woman said. Hanmaru died inside. After looking at the mess, the woman started cleaning up. Then she asked how the interview went. Hanmaru was clearly upset by her question and muttered to himself that he would never tell that he threw up in the interviewer's face. But his mother understood everything without words. With her slap, she brought him to his senses, saying that next time it would be easier. After rummaging through her things, she took out an envelope. Although Hanmaru had run out of money, he still refused, saying that he was already an adult and would earn it himself. But he had no right to refuse.
Okay.
After which she said, so the shaman could have been right. Hanmaru, you need to go to the mountains. The next day, Hanmaru arrived on Ganghwa Island. It had been so many years since he had been here. Looking at the mountain, he remembered his mother's words. She had heard about a famous shaman and decided to ask him about Hanmaru's situation with work. The shaman said that the cause of the problems was not ADHD or panic disorder. It had been 20 years since his father had disappeared. According to the shaman, he died on the mountain you had visited. His spirit is blocking your path in life. Therefore, you need to climb the mountain and spill some alcohol on the ground to give him peace. Only then will you get a government job. Entering the site of the old house, he seemed to see himself. Little Hanmaru ran to the door. He looked through the crack. In the empty room stood a man clutching his head. The boy opened the door and went to his father, saying that he was hungry, but the man was being madness. Remembering this, Hanmaru immediately felt the attack that he had been suffering from lately. After breathing a little, he calmed down and then took a bottle of sojo from his backpack. Pouring some into a glass, he splashed it on the ground, honoring the spirit of the mountain and also remembering his dad. Although he does not know where he is, he hopes that he is okay. My father left us, and my mother tried her best to raise me. Please, mountain spirit, help me find a job. Yellow dust began to appear behind the guy. As soon as Hanmaru noticed this, he decided to go down the mountain because safety first.
Safety first.
Hanmaru was surprised. Someone just repeated his words. There was no one in the yellow dust when suddenly some silhouette appeared.
Safety first,
said the incomprehensible monster. In his hand, he held a bamboo stick. Part of his head was missing, and the skin on his eyes and near his mouth was torn. Hanmaru thought he was seeing things. It seemed he was hallucinating due to his nerves. When the monster began to approach, he decided not to take any risks, so he turned around and tried to run away. What happened? Hanmaru fell to his knees, clutching the bamboo stake that had pierced him. He didn't understand how this could have happened, such an absurd death. Although his whole life had been shitty, studied, then worked part-time, didn't even really have fun, so what difference did it make? Now he wouldn't have to look for a job. A wonderful, kind, beautiful mother floated before his eyes. No, it was too early to die. He had to survive for her sake. Hanmaru tried to get up. The monster, meanwhile, was already in front of the guy.
Safety first,
the monster muttered. Then it opened its mouth and jumped on the wounded guy. Hanmaru saw something, an eye in its mouth. Grasping the young man with its legs, the monster opened its mouth wider. He tried to throw the monster off, but it sank its teeth into his shoulder. The pain that Hanmaru felt was driving him crazy.
Eat it! Eat it!
Maddened by the pain, he bit the monster's neck, then tore off the skin with his teeth. Hanmaru ate the monster. The eye in his mouth peered into the young man. He watched everything closely. The maddened monsters devoured each other. Many monsters fought with each other, and the voice whispered, "Come back!" Opening his eyes, he saw two faces. He did not understand what was happening, but the next moment he jumped up. Where are the monsters? Where is the yellow dust? Suddenly, the man grabbed Hanmaru and asked him to repeat what he saw. The young man said that the yellow dust appeared out of nowhere, and then the monster fell on him. The man and the woman looked at each other and nodded. Hanmaru was surprised that he was still alive, especially after he was pierced. Turning away, they began to discuss yesterday's alarm that went off and immediately turned off. They thought that it was a malfunction, but it seems that he killed the monster. The girl is surprised because if you get an ability from demon blood, it is still impossible to immediately use its abilities. The man decided to check their guesses again. He asked Hanmaru if he remembered what happened yesterday. The guy did not understand what you mean yesterday. Taking out his phone, he saw that a whole day had already passed, so he was unconscious after a fight with a monster all day. If he could kill the demon, does that mean his ability has awakened? It's unexpected, so I think he didn't realize what situation he was in. Anyway, everyone went through the same thing. So kid, you showed up at the right time. You need to participate in something. But first, let's change your ruined clothes. Dust Rapid Response Department Headquarters. Civil Service. Meeting of new civil service employees. Hanmaru clearly didn't understand what he was doing here. Why was he even attending a meeting for civil service employees? Some people were clearly worried about something. This made Hanmaru suspicious. Suddenly, a woman came to the podium. Seoul Headquarters Chief Yu-young welcomed all the new employees to the meeting. Hanmaru immediately interrupted her, since he clearly shouldn't be here. But the woman said that she received a report from the Gangwado Island team, so from today on, he was appointed as a special civil service employee. Hanmaru was clearly surprised, since he didn't even apply for this position. Yu-young continued, "We all work here to save lives. It is strictly forbidden to tell your family or anyone else about your work. If you violate it, you will be punished for violating the national security law." The guy was confused. All of these are new recruits who have obtained demonic abilities this month. Once demon blood enters your body, the chance of obtaining a demonic ability is extremely low. Hanmaru didn't understand what kind of nonsense she was talking about, but the memory of yesterday surfaced in his mind. Fortunately, demons only appear in uninhabited mountainous areas. It is with their appearance that yellow dust appears, and its concentration ranges from level 1 to level 10. The higher the level, the stronger the demon. Mr. Sonu, you have obtained a level 7 ability, right? We look forward to your results in the future. The guy in the suit thanked the chief, saying that he will do his best. And Hanmaru, you have obtained the power of a level 1 demon. What is your ability? The young man laughed awkwardly because he does not yet know what it is. This made the new recruit with the power of level 7 laugh. This angered Hanmaru, but he quickly came to his senses, thinking about how to get out of this place. The siren that sounded in the room attracted the attention of everyone present. The head of Yuanun said that this was a warning about the appearance of a demon. Therefore, a practical lesson would not hurt them now. Now, they will have a chance to demonstrate their abilities. All these prospects did not please Hanmaru at all, because safety must be above all. Yellow dust was everywhere. Seeing a silhouette ahead, he paid attention to the girl's hand. Was she really okay? Turning around, she looked straight at Hanmaru. A huge demon stood next to her with his head nailed to a stone with a huge blade. Seeing the huge monster, Hanmaru fell down in fear. The head of Yuyan warned everyone about the beginning of the practical lesson. Yellow dust of the first level, despite its large size, is the weakest demon. The captain of the Kangwado Island team has already plunged the blade into the demon's head, so it definitely will not move from its place. The girl at this time looked at Hanmaru. She was thinking about what kind of ability he received that he could kill the demon with his bare hands. The head ordered to use his abilities to fight the demon. Fight? Has she gone crazy? How can I fight this? Hanmaru thought. An attack again fettered his chest. The pain in his chest did not allow him to breathe normally. His heart pounded furiously in his chest, and the young man felt a strong hunger. It was an unusual hunger. It was not human, as if an animal had awakened in him. Saliva flowed from his mouth. Hunger burst out. Little by little, Hanmaru began to lose control over himself, but a touch on his shoulder brought him back to his senses. The guy with the strength of level 7 asked, "Is it really because of fear that his legs are shaking?" But Hanmaru said that he was a little hungry. He looked at Hanmaru arrogantly and walked away, muttering that all the newbies here are scum. The leader at this point decided to explain the basics before the demonstration of abilities began. The yellow dust that flies around is emitted by demons. The denser it is, the stronger the demon. Inside this dust, they regenerate at an incredible speed. But that's not all. She slashed her palm, and the next second, the wound healed. We also received this ability, so our wounds are healed in the dust. However, if the wound is fatal, then we can really die. Obviously bored, Sonyu was tired of listening, so he decided to check how it works. Biting his lip until it bled, he felt the dust seeping into the wound. Having passed through his entire body, Sonyu felt the power. So it works if you wound yourself and the dust seeps into the blood. With these words, he put on his gloves. He broke his finger by activating the ability. The blade that had been holding the demon all this time was broken at that very second. The captain of Kangwado Island warned everyone of the danger. The freed demon restored his body and headed towards the newcomers.